So, you want to know who I am? Well, I'm white. At least that's what everyone's always told me. Well, I'm not white. The color of my skin is. Actually, it's more of a beige hue. Irrelevant. You can't condense me down to a mere color. I am so much more than a generic word. And you can't limit me that way. You know, I find myself pained every single time I'm filling out an application. And what follows is a simple simulation, so just bear with me here. Now, check the box that defines your age bracket. Alright, check the box. Check the box that states whether or not you've been convicted of a felony. Doesn't check box. Now, check the box that defines your entire being based on the color of yours or your ancestors' skin. Hesitates. Why do I hesitate? I'll tell you why. I am not Caucasian. And the reason I do not click Caucasian is simple. Now, you may be asking yourself what on earth I'm talking about, and if that is the case, then I indeed do applaud your standard. But the reason I do not click Caucasian is simple. I do not identify as white. I identify as a human being. The color of my skin has no correlation to my humanity. Now, the last time I checked, the blood that courses through my veins is the same hue as that of every other person. There's no difference between us that can be ascribed to color. Now, what really bothers me then is when people tell me I'm privileged because I'm white and male. Privileged. And who are you to tell me I'm privileged? Now, granted, we did always have food on the table, and I've always had a roof over my head, so I have been blessed in that way. But there were days where I could tell when my parents hadn't slept due to worrying. And there were nights when I watched as they buried their heads in their hands, as they tried to figure out how we were going to make it through that month's bills. And what about watching the friends I had slowly fade away? What about watching my privileged friends shoot up on heroin? And if not that, maybe it was privilege that let me work 60 hours a week while going to community college in order to save up for university so that I could finally get a career that would help my parents afford to retire. And how many times have you had to listen? Tears running down your face as your friends tell you they were raised. How many of your friends went off to war because they had no other way to make a living? And how many of them died serving their country? No, maybe it was privilege that got me hauled up in a knife point. And if none of these, then it must have been my privilege. When I got to watch my friend come to school, my privileged white male friend, after he had been beaten senseless by his father and abandoned by his drunk of a mother. Suffering doesn't discriminate. And don't tell me I'm privileged. I'll shrug it off. I'll shrug it off because I understand that you are unable to comprehend that I am so much greater than a color or lack thereof. And I feel sorry for anyone who can't understand that. But while we're at it, why don't we try to take a more complex word to describe it? Quite helpful. We'll see how that one sticks. And all of a sudden, with that one word, will you turn me into something so much greater than simply a color? While we're at it, let's try some others. Lover. Christian. Dreamer. Brother. And friend. So, I do have another question. This is just a general scenario, so I want to bring it back with me. Last time you were walking down the street, did you stop and try to identify every single tree you saw based upon its bark? Maple, oak, dogwood? If so, I congratulate your botanical knowledge. Not, fall into a category with the rest of us. Now we're going to rerun this scenario right here. The last time you walked down a street in a city, did you distinguish people by color? Black? Brown? White? I don't want to know who we think we are. We have the problem. We see our world in a slew of distinguishing colors. Like I said before, there is no difference between us that can be explained by color. So, next time that you find yourself filling out an application, you see that list of races, ethnicities, whatever you may call them, and you see that box labeled other,